ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay, so today we'll be discussing about chapter 17, that is the divisions of faith. So before that, I'll offer my pranamas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gauravaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining this call. So today we'll be discussing about chapter 17, that is the divisions of faith. Okay, so last chapter, what we discussed. So last chapter, what is the name of the chapter 16? Anyone remember? Yes, Harshit.
Yes, Mataji. Divine and demonic nature.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So here in this chapter, we have like 3 sections. So in this 3 sections, what we discussed, let's see. So here in Krishna, he actually he gave about the 26 divine qualities. So the first 3 verses, all of you know, you learned that in SSP. So this 3 verses actually define 26 divine qualities. And then Krishna talked about 6 demoniac qualities and what are the activities of the demonic people, how their mentality will be there, how their qualities will be there, and what are the activities they'll perform. That Krishna was describing. And then in the last section, when Arjuna asked the question, how to give up these demonic tendencies, Krishna was saying that is just by following the scriptures. So here Krishna defined about the 3 gates to hell. Anyone remember what are the 3 gates to hell? Yes, Krishna, please.
Lust, anger and greed.
Very good. So Krishna was saying these are the 3 great gates to hell, and we have to give up that tendencies. We have to give up our anger. We should not have that intent, desire to actually possess something, and we have to give up that greedy nature. When we give up that nature, we will acquire these divine qualities and we will get closer to Krishna. Okay, so everyone has a choice. Everyone has free will. That is what Krishna gave us based on our free will. See, now today we have like you all joined this class. That is your free will, right? Did someone actually force you to join this class? No, because you are interested with your free will, you join. That is the choice you people are making. That is about choice. Okay, that we understood. So now let's move on to the 17th chapter. So what are the key learnings in this chapter? The key learnings in this chapter is how to actually modify our lifestyle and make it favorable to our spiritual journey. And the important thing here in the conclusion, Krishna was talking about Om Tat Sat principle. We'll understand what is that principle in this particular chapter. So this particular chapter has 3 sections. One is the principle. In 2 verses, like every chapter, Arjuna is so merciful on us. Again, he asks this question here in the beginning of the chapter, and Krishna replies to that. That is discussed in the first section. And then in the second section, Krishna is describing about the various aspects of life. And then we have the conclusion. Okay. These are the three sections we'll go through. So the principle in the first two sections. So what is the question which Arjuna was asking to Krishna? That is in the first verse. So who want to recite this verse? Yes, Krishna.
Arjuna uvacha yashastra vidimustrijya vartate kamakarataha yajanta shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishta Krishna sattvam aho rajastama. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or ignorance?
Very good. So here, this is the question which Arjuna was asking to Krishna. So what is he asking? He's saying the people who actually don't follow the scriptures and they do according to their own whims, that is according to their own instinct, their imagination, when they do with their own imagination, in which mode do they belong to? That is the question Arjuna is asking. So let's see what Krishna replied. So this is what the question is. What if people don't follow the scriptures but worship according to their own faith? Okay. So what is Krishna's reply? Krishna's reply is, if one does not follow the Vedas, one will follow their natural instinct, means their own imagination, which will be in the three modes, that is goodness, passion, or ignorance. So these three modes we already discussed in detail in chapter 14. But here, based on our aspects of the lifestyle, which modes the people belong to, Krishna is explaining in detail here. So now let's move on. So this is the second section. So the first section is only about the question and Krishna is replying about that question here. So Krishna is giving us the aspects of life in the verse 3 to 22. Again, this is a small chapter. We have only 28 verses here and Krishna is describing about the various aspects of life. So what is he describing? Let's see. The first aspect of life Krishna was describing is, these are different aspects he'll describe: faith and worship, then food, rituals, conduct, speech, mind control, and charity. These are the aspects which we'll be discussing here. Okay, so now let's move on. Before we actually go, so all of us know that we have three modes of material nature, right? Like Sattva, Rajas, Tamo. So these three brothers, all of you know these three brothers, right? Vibhishana, Ravana, and Kumbhakarna. So these three belong to the same family. Okay. But if you see Vibhishana is very kind, and it is said that Vibhishana is able to discriminate what is good and what is wrong. When Ravana, so number of times he used to correct Ravana, saying that what you're doing is not right, don't do that. But then when Ravana actually abducted Sita, he got very angry. He actually talked to Ravana to convince him, saying that what you're doing is not right. You have to give back Sita. Abducting someone else's wife is so sinful that you cannot even come out of it. Just give back Sita to Ramachandra. But Ravana was never hearing. So you can see Vibhishana, he is in the mode of goodness because he is able to discriminate what is good and bad. If you take Ravana actually is a great Pandita. He is a Brahmana and he is a great Pandita. He performs severe austerities. But why he performed all these austerities? For his own sense gratification, because he want to become a controller. He want to be on the top of everyone in this world. Okay. But he is always in passion. He's always he's so greedy. He's so lustful that anything beautiful or anything, he wanted to possess it. That's how he actually abducted Sita. So Ravana, if you take, Ravana is always in the mode of passion. If you take Kumbhakarna, right? So Kumbhakarna, what type of people are there? Kumbhakarna, it is said that Kumbhakarna, he actually sleeps 6 months and he eats 6 months. So it is like so much of laziness and they won't want to do anything basically. And it is like overeating, right? So you can say that Kumbhakarna is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. So these are the three modes. So how the lifestyle changes based on the modes Krishna is describing here. So we have a life lesson if anyone wants to read the first life lesson for today.
We are the sum total of various choices we make.
Very good. So whatever we do in our day-to-day life, right? Whatever choice we make, that is what we are. See, now you all made a choice that you wanted to attend this class and listen to Bhagavad Gita and try to follow the lessons from Bhagavad Gita, right? That is the choice you have made. So what is the choice you made? That is what you are. Okay, that we have to understand. So faith and worship, what is Krishna saying? We'll see. Sanvi, you can decide this first.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yajante satvika devan yaksharaksham rajasaha pretan bhutaganam shanye yajante tamasa janaha. Translation: Men in the mood of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mood of passion worship the demons, and those in the mood of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits.
Very good. So the first verse, what is Krishna talking about here is how the different type of people worship. So the people in the mode of goodness, they actually worship the demigods. So you all know the demigods like Indra, Varna, all these people are demigods. So many worship Indra for rains. So they do so many austerities and all like that. See, these people in mode of goodness, they actually worship demigods, but they follow the scriptures, what is there in the scriptures. Okay. But the people in the mode of passion, they worship the demons. So yeah, that is right. So the men in the mode of goodness, these people, they actually follow the scriptures, and in the scriptures it is given, if you worship a particular devata, you will get this benefit. So these people actually perform that austerity to get that benefit. And the people in the mode of passion, they actually worship demons like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana. These people, and those in the mode of ignorance, they worship the ghosts and spirits. They worship the dead bodies. They worship the spirits and all. Okay, that is what faith and worship is about. But people who worship the Supreme Lord is beyond these three modes that we'll discuss later on. So here, the faith in three modes is, you have these three gunas. Sattva guna, people worship the devatas. Rajoguna, people, they worship the demons. And Tamoguna, people, they worship the ghosts. Okay. So aspects of life here, what is the best worship? Best worship is, if you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, that is the best worship, and it is beyond these three gunas. Okay. That is in Shuddha Sattva. Okay. When you worship the Supreme Lord, right, it comes to Shuddha Sattva. So here again, we have a life lesson if anyone wants to read. Harshit. Yes, Harshit.
By definition, there can be only one Supreme. Don't get short changed. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Yeah, less than you deserve. Very good. See, if there is a company, right, let's take, there is a big business, there is a company. How many bosses can be there in that company? Only one boss, right? One boss and the subordinates. Same way, we have to understand by definition of Supreme. The very definition of Supreme means there should be one Supreme. There can be only one Supreme. And they will be subordinates to help him out. That we have to understand. So when we know Krishna is the Supreme, why we want to worship the demigod and actually settle for less? We deserve more than that, right? That's why let's all worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Okay. So now people might have that question. See, when there is only one Supreme Lord, why there are so many religions? When there is one God, why there is so many religions? Because it is already said that Krishna is saying, for the answer to Arjuna, Krishna is saying people with their own instance, own imaginations, based on the mode, they actually do this different types of worship. So as the material instinct is different based on the mode, we have different religions which came up, but each religion, the essential message is the same. Every religion says that God is one. Whether you say Allah, whether you say Jesus, you are saying, you're calling the Supreme Lord. See, so many worship this Shirdi Sai Baba, right? Shirdi Sai Baba, they worship, but even Shirdi Sai Baba, what he said, if you read his book, in the book it is said that he wanted to construct a temple and install Muralidhar. See, Krishna has so many names. Muralidhar also is a name of Krishna. So he also wanted to install Krishna deity there. And he always used to say, Sabka Malik Ek Hai. So means what? Sabka Malik Ek Hai means there is only one Supreme, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. That we have to understand. But the essential message is the same. See, like if you take the example of driving, right? In India, the way of driving is different. We drive on a different side, whereas in US, we drive on a different side. But if you go to US and say, no, in India, we drive like this. I wanted to drive the same way. I wanted to have the same type of car. Is it possible? No, right? Even though you're driving on a different side in US or in India, the principle is the same. What is the principle? There should not be any traffic congestion. People should not come in the opposite direction. The traffic should flow smoothly. That is the basic principle there. So the basic principle here we have to understand is that the essential message is the same. That is one God. Okay? Understood? And then Krishna is talking about the food in the modes. Food in the modes. If anyone wants to recite this verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Aharasva api sarvasya trivido bhavati priya yagnastapastata danam tesham vedam imam shanu.
Very good.
Translation. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds. According to the three modes of material nature, the same is true of sacrifices, austerities and charity. Now here the distinctions between them.
Very good. So here Krishna is talking about the food the person prefers to take, who are in these three modes. And based on the food also, Krishna is saying the same, when they take that food, the consciousness will be different. And also the same is true with the case of sacrifices, austerities and charity also we'll be discussing. So now let's look at the food in the three modes. So here you can see a chart, right? So the verses 8 to 10, we are not reciting all those verses. The verses 8 to 10 actually talk about the food in goodness, passion and ignorance. So the food in goodness is wholesome, it is juicy and it is pleasing. So all the foods like fruits, vegetables, the dals, grains and all this come under goodness. So when we actually take this food, right, what happens? We'll have a long life and our body will be purifying. It gives lot of strength and we will be disease free and we will have happiness. See, when we are disease free, when we don't have any headaches or if we don't have stomach upsets and all, we'll be obviously happy, right? So that is the food in mode of goodness. The food in the mode of passion is, it is very bitter, it is very sour, like hot, pungent, and sometimes it burns. Like some people, see, they like to eat very spicy food, and if they go outside and if they eat food which is not spicy, what they'll do is they'll have like chilies with them to eat the food because they want it to be very spiced up. So what is the result of this? It results in distress, it results in misery, it results in disease. See, obviously when you're eating food which is very bitter or which is very sour or hot, obviously your stomach will be upset. So that will lead to distress and that will lead to misery. And the food which is in ignorance is tasteless, decomposed, untouchable things. So this word untouchable things is used by Krishna in this particular 10th verse. And you might be wondering, how can a person actually touch an untouchable food to eat? But I have to actually talk it here. See, because being in a Hindu country and most of us, we know like when a person leaves his body in a family or anything, when we actually visit their house, right? As soon as we come to our house, you might have seen your parents or any others in the family as well. They come and take the bath, leave all their clothes, take bath and then start fresh. Why do you think we do that? Because the dead body will be contaminated. It is decomposed. That is like a dead body is something like an untouchable thing. That is why we actually take bath and we actually perform all the austerity after we coming home, right? But the people who actually eat meat, right? So the meat liking people. So they are eating the dead animals, right? Without live meat, no one can eat, right? They're killing the animals, they're eating the dead meat. So it is like an untouchable thing. That is why Krishna is saying here, it is an untouchable thing. So what is the result of doing that? The result of doing that is it might lead to infection, it will lead to disease, and you don't know what that animal is doing, what that animal is eating, and that will come into our body. So that will contaminate, and then sometimes it will result in early death as well. So that is what is being told in this particular verses. So this is again the same thing. Food in passion, if we eat, it will actually increase the lifespan. It will purify one's existence. It will give strength, health, happiness, and everything. Yeah. And the food which is too bitter, that is this, in the mode of passion, and then in the mode of ignorance. Okay, understood? And here we have a life lesson.
Mataji, cannot say 1 minute. Life lesson 3. We are what you eat.
So it is said that we are what we eat. So we have to understand what type of food we are eating, and we have to be conscious about it. Okay. Yeah. So now, what is the best food? The best food is the food in Shuddha Sattva. So how can the food become Shuddha Sattva? If we take the food, so see, the food in the mode of ignorance, right? If anything which is cooked, which is beyond 3 hours, it is said to be contaminated actually. But then the food which is offered to Krishna, we have to take the remnants of the food which is offered to Krishna. So how can we take the food which is offered to Krishna? So we have to cook the food in a vessel which is clean, and we have to be clean. We have to take bath and then cook the food, and then that food, we shouldn't taste that food at all. And then we have to offer that to Krishna. So whatever varieties we have done, like sabji, then dal, then curd, rice, sambar, rasam, whatever we actually cook, we have to keep in a separate bowl dedicated to Krishna, and we shouldn't be eating in that plate. We have to keep all of them in that plate, and add tulsi to each item, not per plate one tulsi. For each item, we have to add tulsi and offer it to the Lord, and ring the bell when you offer to the Lord. And there is a mantra to actually offer it. If not that, you can just say the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 5 times, and then give some time near the altar for Krishna to actually take that food. So after 5 minutes, just imagine it will become a karma-free food. See, when we actually have to cook food, we are actually cutting the plants, and we are actually bringing it from the store, and the store wala, we don't know what he has done with all that dals and all. So when you offer that food to Krishna, it will become a karma-free food. That is why it is said that the ISKCON people, whatever they eat, they say that they are not vegetarians or non-vegetarians, but they say that we are Krishnatarians, because we offer the food to Krishna and then we take it. That's why they say we are Krishnatarians. Okay. Yeah. So all of you try this karma-free food. I think most of you are doing, but whoever is not doing, offer the food and take it, and take the karma-free food. Okay. Next, we are discussing about sacrifices in these 3 modes. Okay. So the sacrifices, what Krishna is saying here, sacrifices in the mode of goodness. So these people, they actually perform the sacrifices as per scriptures, and they do it like a ritual, as a matter of duty. Okay, it is prescribed in scriptures, we have to do it, but they won't expect any reward out of it. Okay, this is a mode of goodness. Whereas the people in passion, they do it for material benefit, for the sake of pride. For example, if you take Hiranyakashipu or Ravana, so many years they did tapasya by standing on one single leg. Okay, why they did that? Because for their own sense gratification, because they want to actually have their material benefits, for the material benefits, and they wanted to have that pride. And the people in the mode of ignorance, these sacrifices they conduct without any, they make their own imaginations, they make their own rules. They conduct it without direction from the scriptures. They don't distribute prasadam or anything. They don't conduct Vedic hymns, and they even don't offer remuneration to the priest, and they basically don't have faith. Okay, that is how they perform these sacrifices. This is about sacrifices. So what is the best sacrifice? The best sacrifice is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the best sacrifice is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, that is, which is beyond these three modes. Okay, understood? So when you are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, let's think of a simple meaning of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What is that simple meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Yeah, anyone wants to try? Okay, Krishna Priya. Yes, Krishna Priya.
What Prabhupada said is that, oh Radharani, please engage in Krishna's service.
Very good. So we are asking Krishna, Krishna, please engage me in your service. Please give me the intelligence so that I will always be at your service. Okay, that is the simple meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when you are chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you are saying to Krishna, Krishna, please engage all my senses in your service. And that is what we have to do. Okay, and this verse, who wants to read? Charan Sai, you want to? Yes, Charan.
कृते अध्यायतो विष्णुं त्रेतायां यजतो मकैः द्वापरे परिचर्यायां कलौ तद्धरिकीर्तनात्. Translate. Whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Very good. So here what is said, you all know this again. So what is said here? In Satya Yuga, you have to perform meditation. And in Treta Yuga, we have to perform 5 sacrifices. In Dwapar Yuga, deity worship. Whereas in Kali Yuga, what is the prescribed Kali Yuga Dharma? Just by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you will achieve whatever is done in all that yugas. That how simple it is. And who gave this Kali Yuga Dharma for us? Anyone wants to take up? Who gave this Kali Yuga Dharma for us? Yes, Vishnu Priya.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Very good. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually gave this Kali Yuga Dharma to us. Yeah. So here there is a life lesson if anyone wants to read. Brinda?
Yes, Mataji. Make Hare Krishna your lifeline.
Very good. So what is this lifeline about? If you make Hare Krishna our lifeline, what happens? Krishna will be in the center of our lives for each and everything, so that we dedicate everything to Krishna. Okay. So the next aspect here is Krishna is talking about conduct, speech and mind. So this is basically austerities. So anyone know what is the definition of austerity? Just give a try. Yeah. Krishna Priya.
Accepting pain voluntarily.
Very good. Excellent definition. Yes. So voluntary inconvenience. You're taking the voluntary inconvenience for performing something. That is the austerity. So here Krishna is talking about austerity at the conduct. Conduct means that is at the body level, how we are actually utilizing our body to perform. And then at the speech level, that is the word of mouth, and at the mind level. So let's discuss about this austerities here. Okay, so first at the body level, that is the conduct. So the people in the mode of goodness, they actually respect as a duty. They have respect towards others, they have courtesy towards others, and they carry themselves very well. Okay, but the people in the mode of passion, right, they respect for selfish motives. See, for example, maybe you all went to a function, and there might be this particular person who actually comes to you and he actually says, wow, the dress you wore is so wonderful. But then from inside, they will be expecting a compliment from you. That is why they complimented you. Whether your dress is wonderful or not, they don't care. They just wanted to give the compliment because they wanted something in return. So you have to compliment them. So that is this people's motive. The people in the mode of passion, they have this selfish motive and they desire for self-glorification. Okay, that we have to understand. And the people in the mode of ignorance, they self-torture to get powers to destroy others. So if you take the example of politicians, right? So politicians, what they do? They actually fast, they are like 24 hours fasting, like 2 days, 3 days fasting. They actually pain themselves. They cause inconvenience themselves, but that is for the political condition, for a selfish motive, right? And sometimes you might see kids also, like if parents say them to do something and all, right? They don't want to do that. They don't want to study and all. So what they do, they say, they blackmail their parents. If you do this, I'll study. If you give me that, I will study. So that is also not good. That is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. So here we have a life lesson.
Self-torture to threaten others.
Or torturing others.
Torturing others to get my way. But both are detrimental to human part of our life.
Very good. So here again, the life lesson is self-torturing to threaten others. Like I gave the example of a kid actually threatening their parents. Like, if you don't do this to me, no, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to do that, do this. So that is not good. And also torturing others to get my way are both detrimental. Some persons, they actually perform suicide and all, right? Because they can't take up what is happening in their life. They can't face the life basically. So that is detrimental to the human part of life. That is the life lesson here. And speech. Speech also is a very important aspect which we have to discuss. So the people in the mode of goodness, right? They speak the truth and they will be always pleasing and they'll be like beneficial. So whatever they talk, right? It will be beneficial to others. So that is the speech with the people in the mode of goodness. Whereas the people in the mode of passion, right? These people always manipulate what they are not. They actually try to make up things. They wanted to do a lot of show off and they gossip about other people, and they always have this selfish motive, and also they always look for pride. Okay. And the people in the mode of ignorance, right? These people are very agitating, harming, and intentionally they actually hurt others. They speak all bad words. Intentionally they try to actually attack others. So if we take the example, for example, maybe a person actually, like he met an accident. Say unfortunately, one of your friends, brother met with an accident, and you came to know because one of their friend called you instead of directly calling to their brother. So how will you actually say to your brother? There are different types. One person, he doesn't care basically. He says, hey, see, your brother met with an accident. It seems like he's in a hospital. Just go. Like that, you can speak. Or else you might be very compassionate with your friend and you can say, see, I just got a news and don't worry about that. It seems like your brother is met with an accident, but he is admitted in hospital. He's fine. You don't feel any tension or stress. Just go and see him in the hospital. That is one way of saying. Even like sometimes you have to be harsh. It's not like every time you have to be polite. It depends on the position you are. For example, if you take your teachers or parents, sometimes they have to scold children if they are very mischievous. Not like the parent scolds the child every day saying that, hey, go. What are you doing? All nonsense. Get out from here. Will the parent say like that? No. But sometimes the parent has to be harsh, saying that, what nonsense are you doing? Don't do this. So the parent will actually, or the teacher will try to discipline the kid. So how this Bhagavad Gita all started, if we understand, the first chapter, at the end of first chapter, starting of second chapter, Krishna was actually chastising Arjuna, saying that, Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, you're speaking like this. You don't even deserve to be a Kshatriya. That is how Krishna was chastising Arjuna. So it is important to understand that the way, the time, place, we have to understand where we have to be harsh and where we have to be polite. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there is one incident from Srila Prabhupada. So there was one Mataji who actually draws painting. So she's called Jadurani Mataji. So you all know Bhagavad Gita, right? The cover page was actually drawn by her. So one time this Mataji, initially Prabhupada has asked her to draw Radha Krishna picture. She's very good at painting, and she drew a very beautiful picture and she actually brought to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada gave her the instructions like Krishna will be like this, Radharani will be like this, and they'll wear these costumes, and also all instructions Prabhupada gave her. So she actually drew a picture, painting of them, and she brought to Prabhupada. And seeing that painting, Prabhupada was like, oh my God, what sort of a painting is this? So he chastised us. So if you see that painting, right, you see Krishna is here, okay, and Radharani is standing here beside Krishna. So it is like Radharani is offering a garland to Krishna. But in the picture, if you see, right, Krishna is this side, but the painting shows that Radharani is offering garland to someone else. It is not towards Krishna's side. So Prabhupada said, what type of a painting is this and all. But then Jadurani, she was so much in anxiety, and saying that, Prabhupada, he said like, see, you are a great devotee. That's why Radharani is actually giving that garland to you, so that you can actually garland it to, you can offer it to Krishna. So from this, we can understand that Prabhupada initially, he gave the feedback because the thing what she did was not right. But then seeing her reaction, he actually tried to comfort her. So that is how our speech has to be. Okay. At situations, we have to behave, we have to give the appropriate feedback. So we have to give the truth appropriately. But then after giving the feedback, we have to be compassionate to the other person. Okay. That we have to understand how our speech has to be. So here there is a life lesson. Rohan?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
What happened, Mataji?
Yeah, read the life lesson.
Apply these sound filters. Is it true? Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial?
Very good. So this life lesson is, whenever you're speaking, first you have to have this 3 questions. You have to answer these 3 questions. Is it true? Whatever is speaking, is it true? Is it pleasing to others? And is it beneficial? So for these 3 questions, if your answer is yes, then go ahead and speak whatever you want. Okay. And then we have the austerity at the mind level. So at the mind level, the austerity in the mode of goodness, people are very satisfied and they're content with whatever they have, whatever they do and whatever they perform, they're content, they're satisfied basically. And the people in the mode of passion, these people are always dissatisfied, always anxious of one thing or the other, because whatever they get, they want even more. There is this slogan, right? Dil mange more. So these people want to have more, always. They will never be satisfied. And the people in the mode of ignorance, they will be bewildered and illusioned. Illusion means they will actually think what is not there is real. They'll be always in illusion. Okay. So one time, here we'll discuss a story. So there was an astrologer and a king. Okay. So this astrologer is very renowned and he actually gives astrology so very well. So this king actually called this astrologer and he was asking to actually see his hand and tell what is going to be in the near future. So this astrologer told in the near future, you will actually acquire 2 more kingdoms and you'll be acquiring more riches and all. And this king was so happy. Oh, in coming time, I'll actually fight with 2 kings and I'll acquire those kingdoms also. Wow, great. Go ahead, he was saying. And now this astrologer said like after a year or so, you will actually have cancer and you will suffer and all. Then this king got very angry when he said that. He said, how can you say that to me? No, that will not be happening for me. You're saying all lies and all. Then what the king did, he actually immediately took hold of that astrologer and he put a knife at his neck, saying that now I'm going to chop off your head. Being an astrologer, you know your future, right? Tell me what your future is. Okay. And this astrologer intelligently, he replied saying that I am going to die, but as soon as I die, in the next half an hour, you are going to die. Actually, that is not real. But this astrologer intelligently, he told that. Then the king realized his mistake and he said, I'm sorry for what I have done. Now I understand my mistake. So we have to understand that there might be situations of happiness and distress, but we should be equipoised in all ways. Okay. One more life lesson if anyone wants to. Yes, Krishna.
Engaging mind in Krishna is the easiest, blissful and sublime experience. It's a natural state of samadhi in the most attractive.
Is the most attractive, yeah. So this life lesson is very important. So engaging mind in Krishna means just performing, doing, offering prasad to Krishna, then doing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So all these are very easy. It creates bliss. It gives us a blissful experience. And this is the natural state of samadhi. We don't need to go to a forest and sit on a kusha grass, lay on a kusha grass, and we don't need to perform that samadhi. Sitting for 2 hours and chanting like 16 rounds without having any distractions, focusing, listening to what you chant, that is, we are in the state of samadhi. Okay. Charity. Now charity in 3 modes. So Krishna here is discussing about charity in 2 modes. So charity in the mode of goodness. So these people, they actually do out of duty and they have no expectations and they do it in the proper time and place. And they actually give this austerity or charity to a worthy person. Okay, whoever will get benefited or something, they give this charity. But the people in the mode of passion, right? They give charity, but they expect return. See, for example, in temples, you might see, right? There will be like this granite boards wherein they will be like names printed there. Like so and so person has given this donation. See, it is said that if you do some charity, the third person should not know. But these people, what they do? They give like 1,000 rupees of donation, but they want their name carved there, very big, saying that so and so person have given this donation. And they do that for their own enjoyment. Sometimes in a grudging mood. See, for example, if we are in a community or something, maybe one person gave like 10,000 donation. Then this particular person will get very agitated. Oh, that person gave 10,000 and everyone are talking about him. So I'll give 10,100. So that is grudging mood. In that mood, they actually do the donation. That is our charity in mode of passion. And the charity in mode of ignorance is they actually give charity at an impure place, in improper time, and to an unworthy person. See, maybe this person, we can take the example of an intoxicated person. And if he is actually coming on the way, there might be a beggar saying that today I don't have money to actually go and get wine. Please give me money. This fellow, he actually gives some money to that person. So that is an improper place, improper time and unworthy person. With that, what this beggar will do? He will again go to a bar and sit and drink. So that is not at all worthy. So this is the charity in the mode of ignorance. So here again, I have a story for the mode of goodness. So this is there is a desert, okay, and the person who is actually wandering in the desert, he was walking, and after some time he became very thirsty. And in the desert, you know, right, there will be so many mirages. They appear to be like water, but water will not be there. So he was walking, and he was so thirsty, and he found a small hut, and near the hut there is a water pump. In olden days, we used to have this water pump, right? So there was a hand pump, like hand water pump. The water pump is there and he actually worked out on that hand pump for so much time, but nothing is coming out. So then he went into that hut, and in the hut he saw a bottle full of water, like 1 liter bottle. And on the bottle it is written, there is a post-it sticked on that bottle. And on that bottle it is said like, the first sentence it is said, use this water to fill into that hand pump and then work out, it is written. And second, once you are done, fill this bottle with water and then keep it in the same place with this post-it note. That is the 2 sentences written. But then you really don't know who wrote that, and even you don't know if it works. So if this person actually pours that water into that hand pump and the hand pump doesn't work, he will actually lose this 1 liter of water also. There is a chance that he might lose this 1 liter of water. But then Krishna gave that person, Krishna gave that intelligence to him. He actually believed what is there in that water. So why compromise for this 1 liter of water? Let me actually pour that in the hand pump and try. So he poured that water in the hand pump and he tried to work on it. But then water is not coming. But after some time, air came and water also came. Sorry. So he drank water to quench his thirst, to his heart's desire. He drank completely all the water. And while he is going, he filled the water bottle. He kept that post-it note. So in addition to those 2 points, he added one more point saying, like, believe me, it works. That is the third sentence. So these people are like the mode of goodness people. So they actually perform the duty and they actually look for benefit of others also. Okay. So what is the best charity? The best charity is doing anything for Krishna conscious endeavors. So if you want to give charity, right, you can give the charity for the Vaishnavas in the temple. For every Dwadasi, actually, we can actually sponsor prasad for Vaishnavas in the temple, in ISKCON temple. So Ekadasi, everyone will fast, right? So Dwadasi, we can offer prasadam to the Vaishnavas in the temple. And we can actually give donations in the temple. See, if there are so many brahmacharis and sannyasis who are actually trying to teach Bhagavad Gita and all. So from where these people get this money? So if we give donations, it actually benefits, it actually will be utilized for the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Okay. And here in this picture, if you see, you can see Sudama. So all of you know Sudama, right? He is the best friend of Krishna. He is a Brahmana. And once when he came to visit Krishna, he actually borrowed some puffed rice from his neighbors and he actually came and donated that to Krishna. So the Lord is so merciful that the Lord is bestowed of all benedictions. If someone gives something to the Lord, right, he is not a loser. Okay. He is the gainer by 1,000,000 times. That we have to understand. So Krishna, what he sees, Krishna will not see how much you gave, but he will see how much you are left behind. So if we are getting 100 rupees of salary and you're giving 50 rupees to Krishna, he'll be very pleased. But if you're making 1 crore of salary and you're giving very 100 rupees, you're giving 100 rupees for charity, Krishna will see what is left behind. Okay, that we have to understand. So this life lesson is about that one. If anyone wants to recite, read this. Rohan?
Mata does not see Mataji and Dikshit Mataji, I will tell.
Yeah, Dikshit, go ahead.
Life lesson like Krishna does not see what we give. He sees what we are holding
back. Very good. So in the case of Sudama also, the same thing has happened, right? So Sudama, he doesn't have anything, but then he actually borrowed puffed rice from his neighbor and he gave that to Krishna. So Krishna will see what, Krishna will not see, does not see what we give, but he'll see what we are holding back. Okay. One more life lesson. Yes, sir. Krishna.
Use all the resources to enhance the mission of the Supreme. That's the best charity.
What is the best charity? Best charity is we have to use all the resources to enhance the mission of the Supreme. That is the best charity. See, now I am taking these classes. Why I am taking these classes? Because we are trying to spread the word that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are trying to actually use the resources to enhance the mission. If for someone is actually very good at IT skills, like someone knows to do the PPT well, use your knowledge to actually work for Krishna. Okay. So if someone is actually doing some presentations or anything, you can help them. And we have this Zoom, this one, right? So Zoom, generally it is the free one is only for 45 minutes, but the paid one, it actually lasts for more hours. So I have seen a group wherein someone already have that subscription. So they donated that subscription. Okay, take our subscription and use that for your classes. So that is the kind of charity, that is the best charity, because that charity helps us to utilize in Krishna's endeavors. Okay. And the conclusion. So the final conclusion, what is Krishna saying here is, Krishna is talking about Om Tat Sat. So who want to recite this verse? Yeah, Krishna.
Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho brahmanastrida smrita brahmanastena vedascha yajnacha vihita pura. From the beginning of the creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord.
Very good. So Krishna is talking about Om Tat Sat here. So he's saying that this Om Tat Sat is used by the Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and while performing the sacrifices to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what does this Om Tat Sat mean? It indicates the Lord. It is chanted by the Brahmanas during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So here in this section, we will discuss what is the significance of Om Tat Sat and the consciousness, in which consciousness we have to be. Why I do and what I do, we'll discuss. So what is Om Tat Sat? Om means the name of Vishnu, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, you might have seen so many Brahmanas or so many people chanting so many hymns, right? Everything will start with Om. Om Nama Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Everything starts with Om. So why, which means the Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Lord Sri Krishna. And it helps one, when you start with Om, right? It will help you to remember the Lord. Okay. Tat means it describes detached work for the sake of liberation. So Tat is like you have to know why, what you're doing, first of all, why you're doing and what you have doing. Sat is to dedicate activity for the pleasure of the Lord and his devotees. So that is Om Tat Sat principle. So the last verse, who want to recite? Okay, I think Siri was there. Siri, you want to go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mataji. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam krutam chayat asad iti uchyate partha nacha tat pretya noiha. Translation: anything done as sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called as
Asat.
It is called Asat and is useless both in this life and the next.
Very good. So this is again very, very important verse to actually, if you want to actually memorize also, it is really good verse to memorize. So Krishna is saying that anything done as sacrifice, whether charity or penance or without faith in the Supreme, is not permanent. It is impermanent and it is called Asat. It does not belong to Om Tat Sat. It is Asat. And it is useless in this life and even in the next. Because if you're doing something in this life, based on that only you will get the next body, right? So that's why Krishna is saying it is useless in this life and the next life as well. So, that's why it is important to actually be in right consciousness and understand what we are doing and why we are doing that. Okay. Not just, see, if you're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra without knowing the reason, that doesn't make sense, right? So you have to know why you're doing and what you're doing. That is important. So anything you read, or if you go through, if someone says you to perform some puja or something, just question, try to get the question and try to question and get the answer for that. Why you have to do that and what, why and what. Okay, that is important. That is what Krishna is saying. The consciousness is important. Without having that right consciousness, even if you perform something, that is useless. So this is the end of this chapter and we'll do a quick overview here. So first, in the first two verses, Krishna is talking about Arjuna's question, the answer to the Arjuna's question. And he says that the categorization is based on the modes. And in the second section, Krishna was elaborately discussing about the aspects of lifestyle in terms of faith and worship, in terms of food, charity, speech, mind control, then body level, sacrifices. So that is what discussed. And then in the conclusion, Krishna was saying what is the significance of Om Tat Sat, and the consciousness we have to be in why I do and what I do. That is important. So we have to question ourselves why we are doing and what we are doing. Okay, that is important. So that is the end of this session. Thank you very much. Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.